Well, Math 7 videos are back. Hopefully this will work and you could load this on YouTube. What we're doing today is we are checking your assignment. So without any further ado, let's get started. So you were starting out here with rectangles. You need to have the formula for the rectangles written down. If you don't have the formula for the area of the rectangle written down, please do that. If you haven't already solved these, pause the video, solve them, and then come back and check your work. Okay, is it done? Are you sure? Are you sure it's done? Because I don't want to show you the answer unless it's done. Do the work. Did you do the work? So let's take a look at number 1, if I can move the little gray thing. The formula should be base times height. The base is 13, the height is 8. You run it through a calculator, you get 104 square feet. For the second one, the fractions. For you fraction phobes, you could change your fractions into decimals. I made 18.5, 18.5, and 7.5, 7.5. We've still got base times height, so you're going to take 7.5 times 18.5. I did it with the decimals. I also showed you how you would have to work with the fractions because you'd have to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. And so you should get as a decimal 138 and 75 hundredths meters squared, or 138 and 3/4 meters squared. And then the last one, number 3. Formula, area equals base times height. Write that every time. The more you write it, the more you read it, the more likely you are to remember it. Base and height, pretty easy to figure out this time. 13 and 7/10 times 7 and 3/10. And when you run it through your calculator, you get 100 and 100th inches squared. The second section of problems, you are finding the area of a parallelogram. This is why we use the formula A equals base times height. Rectangles are parallelograms. So you can use the exact same formula to find the area of the parallelograms. Now what's a little bit trickier here is to find the base and the height. So I've drawn in the H so I can see the height and I can tell what the H is sitting on, and I know the base. So the base is 9, the height is 7, 9 times 7 is 63 square yards. Make yourself at home, Miss Katie. For number 5, same formula, A equals base times height. Find the H, find the base. We've got 5 and 8/10 times 7 and 2/10 equals 41 and 76 hundredths feet square. Now what's nice about this video is if I'm going too fast, you can pause it and do the work, check the work, copy what you need to copy. The whole idea is you need to try them first. This should be just checking your work. I have to move fairly quickly because I only get 15 minutes for a video. So you're going to have to pause the video if you need more time. So now let's take a look at number 6. There you go, you decimal, your fraction phobes. If you want to change 3 and a third to a decimal, you'd have to use 33.333333. So I just went out to the hundredths place with that repeating decimal. And 10.5 would be the same thing as 10 and 5/10. Formula is the same, base times height. Multiply 10.5 times 3 and a third. And you get 34 and 965 thousandths square inches. Now I also did it fractions. It would be 10 over 3 times 21 over 2. This is why we do that cross canceling, because when I did that, I was able to get 35 inches squared. You can see these are very close to being the same thing. And the reason why they're not exactly the same is because we didn't repeat this decimal out a bunch more, to several more places. So that's parallelograms. Now we move into triangles. And if you remember in class, I showed you how you could put 2 triangles together. It would make a parallelogram. And so if you found the area of that parallelogram, you'd have to divide it by 2 in order to get the area of a triangle. If you haven't worked these, I want you to pause, work them, and then use the video just to check. And I think we'll give you your secret here. Your secret is 15 minutes. I only get 15 minutes of video time, and that's why I go quickly. 15 minutes is the secret. Secret, secret. I just said the secret. Now let's look at the first triangle. The formula is base times height divided by 2. And again, you've got to pick out the numbers to use. Mariah, you, and Kaya will be very happy that there aren't any of those distracting numbers on there. There's nothing here to fool you. But you've got to make sure that you still can pick out the right numbers when the extras are around. So the base is 11 because that's what the H is sitting on, and the height is 4 because that's the long side of the H. 11 times 4 is 44, divided by 2 makes 7 have 22 units. All right, the next one. This one's laying on its side, so your H is horizontal instead of vertical. Formula is the same. A equals base times height divided by 2. 8 times 5 divided by 2 is 20 units squared. Pause when you need to. Try to work them before you go on to the next one. Number 9. Formula. A equals base times height divided by 2. The base is 12, the height is 5, divided by 2. That's 60 divided by 2, which gives you 30 square units. And I just put units on there because it doesn't say. Normally they're labeled inches, centimeters, meters, something. But we know that whatever that measuring unit is, it has to be a square unit in order to measure the area, the space inside. So I just use the word units instead. All right, trapezoid. You'll remember that trapezoid had the bigger, longer formula. I took 2 trapezoids, I put them together. I showed you how they made one big parallelogram. I wish you could see me. I'm talking with my hands right now. I'm making this parallelogram with my fingers as if you could see me. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we made the big parallelogram, showed you why you have to take base 1 plus base 2, then multiply it by the height, but that makes a huge parallelogram that we just need to take half of, so now we divide it by 2. If you haven't tried the trapezoids, please try those trapezoids now. All right, so the work runs on a little bit further here. So the formula, base 1 plus base 2 times the height over 2. I found the H. The H is actually upside down in this trapezoid. One base is 15, the other base is 10. The height is also 10. It's the pink line. 15 plus 10 times 10 divided by 2. Following the order of operations, you add 15 and 10 first. 25 times 10 divided by 2, which is 250 divided by 2, which is 125 inches squared. All right, looking at number 11. 15 is the height. It makes the H. We've got the bases on both ends of that H, which are 9 and 20. The area equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height over 2. So we've got 9 plus 20 times 15 over 2. That gives me 29 times 15 over 2, which equals 217 and 5/10 meters squared. Remember, you can pause as you need to. You can rewind and listen again till something makes sense. But please try it before you go ahead and look at the next one. Make sure you've given 12 a try. So number 12, another trapezoid. Can you pick out the bases? Can you pick out the height? My folks in 6th hour are particularly happy that there aren't any extra information on here as a distractor. The bases would be 8 and 18. The height is 5. 8 plus 18 times 5 divided by 2. Get 26 times 5 divided by 2, which equals 65 square feet. All right. Now we get to the word problems. A dollar bill is 15.5 centimeters long and 6.5 centimeters wide. What's the area of the dollar bill? Well, first of all, you've got to know that that dollar bill is a rectangle shape. Once you know that the dollar bill is a rectangle shape, then you know which formula to use. A equals base times height. The length, the base would be 15.5 centimeters. The height would be 6.5 centimeters. Now the calculator does the work, and that dollar bill is 175 hundredths square centimeters. For 14, we're given the area, and you have to find the length. So it's a rectangular hallway, so that ought to tell you what formula you need to use, which is A equals base times height. Except I did length times width because those were the words used in the word problem. And we need a variable. L would be for length, W for width. Substituted in that the area was 70 feet. The length is what we're looking for, and I use that cursive L so it doesn't look like a 1, times the width, which is 4. Divided both sides by 4 in order to get just what L equals. And the length of the hallway would be 17 5/10 feet long. Finally, the last one. Good old Montana. The state of Montana is shaped somewhat like a trapezoid. What is the approximate area of Montana? As you can see there, Montana is a pretty big state. First, we would need the trapezoid formula. Then we've got to get the numbers in the right places. So I hope you've traced the H to find the height, and then looked on both ends of that H to find the bases. The numbers should be substituted in as follows. 550 plus 460 are the bases, times the height, which is 290 miles, divided by 2. Get 1,010 times 290 divided by 2. When you multiply the numerator, it's 292,900 divided by 2, which gives you 146,450 square miles. If you want to impress somebody with what you know, we have a teacher here in the building who grew up in the state of Montana. You could tell her what the approximate area of Montana is and probably impress her to no end. So let Miss Larvey know that Montana is 146,450 square miles. That finishes everything up. Thanks for taking time to watch. Make sure you've written the secret down. It was 15 minutes because that's how long I have for these videos. And as I look, I'm going to finish in less than 13. 2 minutes to spare. I'll see you Monday. Bring your questions, and we'll see about getting the exit slip taken for this. Have a good weekend. Bye.